buylocallykingston.com. I was on it this morning and I was very impressed with all the local industries and the local merchants that you've got involved in it. And the other thing that impressed me were sort of the 10 basic rules of buying locally. And I just want to review a few of them with you because I think it's very important for us to not only remember these, but also important as to how they affect our day-to-day living. Steve already mentioned the whole environmental benefit from it, and I just want to dwell on that just a little bit. First of all, it supports yourself. When you buy locally, you're supporting somebody in your community that has gone through the time and effort to make the product, to grow the product, to put the product together, whatever it may be. But those are people that benefit directly, economically, from your money that you're paying for that particular product or service or your produce. And that's very, very important. You know, it's always, as you know, in Ontario, we've got a campaign ongoing through the Ministry of Agriculture and Foods, basically, that talks about good things grow in Ontario. So when you go into a supermarket or when you go into the local store, always look for the Ontario label. So I think that's the first thing that I just want to very briefly say. Secondly, it supports community groups. And there are many groups that are represented here today. Anti-poverty groups, different groups that try to make our city and our community and our world a better place to live in. That, of course, benefits each and every one of us because it all affects our quality of life. And the next thing is almost self-evident, that it keeps our community unique. You know, anything you buy locally, all you have to do is go down to the market or go into any of the craft shops and see what you can actually get here locally that you can't get anywhere else. And, you know, just think of yourself when you're on a holiday or something like that. You always want to get something that is unique to that particular situation, to that particular place that you're visiting. Well, the same thing applies with respect to our community. If you can buy something for somebody, if you're buying a gift, buy a locally designed gift, particularly if it's somebody out of town, because it helps the local artisan, the local tradesperson, because it brings money into our community. Next, and Steve mentioned this as well, and something that I'm very much interested in as Minister of the Environment, it reduces the environmental impact. You know, there's less transportation involved in getting the product here. It deals with all the issues relating to the greenhouse gas emissions, which is a huge, huge problem right now. I don't know how many of you saw earlier this week, there was a report from the United Nations where a president of a very small South Pacific pitch, together with all the other world leaders like Obama and all the other world leaders that were from the larger countries. And this president, whose name escapes me, who's from a very small South Pacific island, said, look, we've got a problem right now as a result of the greenhouse gas emission situation, as a result of climate change, whereby we basically have to take people off some of the islands in the South Pacific because of the rising sea levels, that those islands are going to be underwater in another 5 or 10 years. And that's a real, real big issue. And I know that it may not affect us here, right here in beautiful downtown Kingston in this old city park, but I can tell you, you know, that is something that sort of brings it to mind probably more than anything else, that if we don't start dealing with those greenhouse gas emission situations, and hopefully the countries of the world will come to an agreement in Copenhagen in December, then, you know, we'll all suffer. And it's not this generation. Climate change is happening too slow that it's really affecting us, but it'll surely affect the future generations. Your kids or their grandchildren, they simply won't have the type of lifestyle that we have in this great country of ours. Next, of course, it provides more local jobs. Anything that's good for the local economy, provides employment opportunities for people, brings money into the community, and causes economic stimulus. So if you buy locally, it creates local jobs. Also, you know, quite often, from the local merchant, you get much better service. We've all dealt sometimes with these national corporations. You buy something and you don't get the same kind of service as when you phone the local guy and say, look, you know, it isn't quite working out whatever you sold me. I've had many experiences over the years whereby they'll actually come to your house, or you can take the product back and they will fix it up, etc. You don't necessarily get that with everything else. And of course, you can also buy what you want locally. Sometimes when you go into the big chain stores, that's not always possible. And finally, of course, it encourages a local prosperity, and that's really what it's all about. So Emily, congratulations to you. I mean that quite sincerely. To all the people that work with you, go on the website, folks. There are hundreds upon hundreds of local merchants that are part of this organization to buy locally. I think it's something that we should really encourage. It's something that that has so many benefits, and I've just listed a few of them here, that I think an event like this, and it may be a little cloudy, and maybe not as many people turned out as you thought were going to turn out, but I've seen over the years many organizations start small, and as time goes along, it just expands tremendously. And one day you'll look back on this first event that you're having in Kingston this year, to Buy Locally Kingston, as sort of the groundbreaking place where people turn their attention to buying locally as much as possible. And I really like the slogan that you've got that sort of starts out, if I remember correctly, think locally and then buy it if you can. That's the way to do it. Congratulations to everyone involved. Have a great day.